Okay, this presentation today, welcome. Glad you're back. This presentation today is going to be about AP Psychology, and what we're going to do in the notes here is just break down the class to you. Make sure you understand some general ground rules and how we do business, what you should expect from the class, and also what's the AP test like, what am I like a little bit as a teacher, and so this is the introduction to AP Psychology. I've taught a task CETA since 2006, and it's a important place to me. So I hope that you have the same kind of success at this school as the many other students that I've had at a task CETA. A big part of this flipped classroom this year, and a big part of watching the videos at home and then coming to school with good solid notes so we can build upon that and get you ready for the AP test is just being sure that if you have questions and you don't understand something, that you're getting those questions to me, whether you're emailing me, posting a message online, and there's going to be a forum that we're going to use to help you with that, where other students can answer your questions or I can, or if you're bringing them to class. And that's probably the best way to do it, because everybody will see it and hear your question, and hopefully I will be able to help you, and probably other students will be able to help you too. And sometimes that's the best way to do it. They speak your language, not 43-year-old white man. So communication is really important. The website's there for us to use, and we need to take advantage of it. So I have taught at AHS for a long while, and glad to do it. Lots of good memories and more to come. This is my son Aiden and my other son Griff. Of course, many of you know Mrs. Duez because you may have her for economics at AHS, and she's probably about the best teacher I know. I'm just trying to keep up. Looking at these pictures makes me want to go back and have summer again. See if we can rewind for a second. Anyway, there are a few students down here, and I think you guys are kind of part of our family as well. I mean, for us, we're at school just as much as we're here at school, or we're at home just as much as we're at school sometimes, it seems like, anyway. And it's an important place to us. So hopefully you'll see that as we go throughout the semester. And you may have Mrs. Duez this semester, seniors, or maybe next semester. So what about AP Psychology? The exam for this coming year is on May 5th at high noon. So it's usually the very first test of the year for AP. Students have the opportunity to gain about 3 college credits. It's usually what people give you. It depends on the college as to how much credit you're going to get, whether that's if you score a 4 or 5 and they give you credit. Sometimes a 3. You get a 3 out of 5. And what is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We'll talk more about it in class, but it's basically the breakdown of how the College Board decides whether you are highly qualified or not. The course is pretty highly paced. I mean, we're going to be flying through psychology. It's an introductory course, but there's a lot to learn and a lot to know. One of the reasons we're doing the flip and doing these videos is to give you a chance to learn it at home and kind of extend the class time in a little bit. When you come to school, we can work on things where I can be there to help you make them a little bit better and correct your mistakes. Things like writing the FRQ, and those are the 2 essay questions at the end of the AP test. So it's a 70-minute test, or 70-minute 100 multiple choice test at the beginning. It's 2/3 of your score. It's a little bit different than some of the history tests, which are either 50-50 or pretty close to 50-50. I know the World History AP test was 50% the 70 questions and 50% the 3 essay or free response questions. So when you're looking at the AP Psych test, they're putting a pretty heavy emphasis on those 100 questions. They're multiple choice questions. There are 5 answer choices. Most of my tests have 4. That just shortens the time period for my test, so we can do a little bit of writing during that period as well. But as we get closer to the end of the semester, get closer to the AP test, we'll definitely be doing more practice with 5 distractors or 5 choices to Multiple choice scores are based upon the number of questions answered correctly. They do not deduct points if you have an incorrect answer, which is nice. That's the way it is for all AP tests now. The free response questions are an appropriate tool for analyzing a student's mastery of scientific research principles and ability to make connections among constructs from different psychological domains. And those are all the different areas we're going to study. You're going to be asked to analyze a general problem in psychology. You're going to use concepts from different theoretical frameworks. And you may even design within your answer an example or a research example, and then or critique someone else's research study. So, people tell me all the time, well, I don't know if I should take the AP test. Well, if you spent a semester with me in AP Psychology, you might as well take the test. You put all this work into it, and college is really expensive. If you can either get better at the class so that if you have to take the class at college, you'll do well, or the better choice, if you can get college credit now and not have to pay for it later, that's fantastically better. So for me, college education was pretty important to me. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. And that's me, my mom and dad there in the picture. Only 30% of adults hold a college degree. That is low. So 3 out of 10 people are college graduates. It's just a hard thing to do. It's more like a endurance race. If you can cut off some of the miles of that race by getting some college credit now, it makes the run even easier when you get there. But I think the biggest thing that AP classes do for you is just give you a little bit more confidence, because mostly when you get to college, it's such a change socially and culturally, and depending on where you go, just the demands of new friends and new people and being away from your home, it can be really hard on students. So what do I recommend? I recommend doing a great job in high school classes, building your confidence level so that when you get to college, you're like, I can do the work academically. There's no question about that. I did it in high school. And I'm telling you, it's really rare that I hear of a student who doesn't do well in college but did great in AP classes at AHS. Maybe you know more people than I do, but I haven't seen too many. And I hear from kids all the time, and lots of thank yous. And thanks for getting me ready, because this made such a big difference to me. So, high school students who take at least 2 AP classes double their chances of not just going to college, which is what a lot of you are so worried about, but graduating, and that's the hardest part. There's a lot of students there on the right side that I've had for world history classes and some other classes, and some of them have been in psych, and we've had some pretty good memories, and a lot of them are college graduates now. The young lady down at the bottom is in the green sweater with the 2 thumbs up. She just graduated from the University of Texas. The kid to her right, Jonathan, he just graduated and he's student teaching right now. So, I mean, to me, I look at these kids and think, they're you. You're going to do exactly what they did. And there's no reason you can't do in your future what they've been able to do as well. So hang in there. It gets better. High school's tough sometimes. But if you put the work in and you work with me to help you, you are going to learn. And that takes you a long way. So I have 3 rules. We've probably talked about these in class. Being prompt means you're going to get there. You're ready to learn. Being prepared means you have everything you need to learn there with you, and you're sitting and ready to go. And part of that being prepared too is you come in, look for the do now on the board, and you say, okay, I need to pick this up, or I need to sharpen this pencil, or I need to get this. So when the bell rings or the principals are done making announcements, we can get started and get to some learning. Being polite is a big deal to me, and just about anything you do that might break somebody else's rules, they may have 20 rules or 30 rules, and being polite is one rule, and I think it's pretty simple. If you treat other people in the classroom like you want to be treated yourself, that's a good first start, and we'll take it from there. So the rules, like I mentioned with the do now, you come into the room, and most of you know this if you've had me for world history, but you turn to the right when you come in, you're going to see the board that has what we're going to do today. So for you to come in and say to me, hey, Mr. Drewes, what are we going to do today? I'm going to point at the board, and I'm going to look at you like, can you read? And if you need help reading my handwriting, I'll be glad to tell you, but I haven't even seen you glance up there and look. So the other thing you need to do is probably turn to your left, and the quote of the day will be there. I put the bell schedule there because I won't know it otherwise. We have 15 bell schedules a week, it seems like. The date is up there. It's sometimes wrong, and no one will notice all day long. Sometimes somebody will. And there's the do now. And to me, that's going to get you started and ready, and we can get moving. And a lot of times it's a deep question that we need to consider and think about that will propel us into the lesson. All right, some of you do those or warm-ups or whatever. So there's the sideboard. Above that sideboard are all those pennants, and for a reason. Many of them were given to me by students. And I think I've had students at every one of those colleges or universities. I'm trying to think if there's any. Penn State. I had a girl that just went to Penn State. So, and I'm from Pennsylvania, so that's one of the reasons it's up there. Arizona, we've had a student go to Arizona. You can barely see the edge of it up there. Let's talk about procedures, because there's a way to they have rules and all these rules. I have 3, and then I have many procedures. Advanced placement classes are a place where students can sometimes become, what's a good word for this? Desperate? And part of that desperation is trying to cheat, or thinking that cheating is going to be a good idea. It's not a good idea. It's never a good idea. At the end of the year, you're going to take the AP test. Try cheating on that. That's not going to happen. You're going to waste your money. We always number the tests and quizzes. At the top of each test and quiz will be a number. That number will go in the Scantron or your answer sheet, whatever you're using. Then when I get your test back, I'm going to separate the tests out into piles your Scantrons into piles that match with the key for each one of those. So sometimes I'll have 2, 3, 4 different test versions depending on the class, depending on how I'm feeling, depending on who I know is cheating. And you may say, well, if you know they're cheating, why aren't you stopping them? It's kind of difficult sometimes. I see wandering eyes, and I see this kind of crap right here where you're looking. I see this where you're flipping your ID and trying to look on the back, where you're looking down between your legs all period, and it seems to be glowing down there. Some of you go to so much effort to cheat. I think if you just would have maybe opened the book and read or asked a question, we wouldn't have to do this kind of thing. So try to stay ahead of this. I mean, I don't know how much I can talk about cheating because it just makes me mad. And it's not something I could ever really do very well. Cell phone addiction, that's pretty much what this is. Some of you guys go to great lengths to be able to text your mom, which when we catch you, that's the first thing you say, oh, I was texting my mom. Right. Well, sometimes you are. But hopefully your mom will understand that we have to get some work done. And in this class, I mean, you're going to want results from me and from yourself at the end of the year. You want to do well on that test. We don't have time to play around with these cell phones. There may be times when I say, take out your cell phone. We're going to do a survey. Take out your cell phone. I want you to look up something for me on the web. Take out your cell phone. I want everybody to go to my website. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of minutes, don't do that. But there'll be somebody next to you or near you who you can look off of and use that. It's really, really rare that I do that because we don't really need to. Much of what we do in class doesn't involve a cell phone. So I don't think there's ever really a good time to have it out. And I do not want your bag, purse, athletic bag, I don't know, satchel. Don't put that stuff on the desk in front of you. There's only really one reason you're doing that. You're doing that to hide your phone. The hoodies come out around Thanksgiving at least, or probably before that. And you've got your hands down in your pocket the whole time. I mean, come on, get with the program here. I can promise you this. If you're not being successful in the class, I'm going to have my eye on you because I'm going to try to help you get better. And if you're sitting there and I'm working hard to get you ready and you're wasting all your time on this cell phone, I'm not going to be happy about it. And I'll let you know. I don't mess around. Don't be like Bart Simpson there. Dear students, I know when you're in texting in class, seriously, no one just looks down at their crotch and smiles. Sincerely, your teacher. I don't have that sign up because I don't need that sign. And I know we teach psychology. Maybe you are smiling at your crotch. I don't know. Maybe that's your thing. What can I tell you? But don't do it. These guys who are texting like crazy. I wonder if you're texting in class, do you text and drive? Probably. If you're that addicted to the phone that you can't wait till later, you're putting your life at risk. Number one, you're putting your education at risk if you're doing it at school, because this doesn't have a place at school. Number two, I hope you're not on the road when I'm on the road if you're texting and driving. Student responsibility. Let's talk about those. These are great. With a flipped classroom, you're responsible for going to the website pretty much daily, trying to watch these videos, take a few notes. This isn't going to be one you're going to be tested on, but it's a good introduction if some of you are new to me or don't understand what you need to be doing. The website is there for you to use. Now, not everybody's going to use it. Maybe you're going to open up your textbook, you're going to read your textbook, you're going to pay attention in class, you're going to study on your own, and you're going to do fine. Maybe you're going to use all the other methods we're going to look at in class, and you're going to be fine. But most students are going to need the website, need the videos, need to be taking notes. I don't really care as long as you learn the material. That's the most important thing, and that's what I'm here for. So I am going to be looking for notes. And I just don't think that you can take a college class, not take any notes, and not have anything to study, and you're going to be okay. Doesn't work that way. Use email to communicate with your teacher, and we'll have some student groups set up too. And I think we're going to do some things on a forum. That's a really good way to communicate with students. Especially we have a couple different classes now each semester, and it's a good way to even just discuss psychology and try to understand some of the stuff that a lot of you are very interested in. So what is the flipped classroom? It is a method where I can get this kind of instruction to you, which would normally be a lecture in the classroom that's going to take 40 minutes and blah, 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 wah, 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 wah. Well, I'll do a little bit of this wah, wah, wah here on the video. Most of you will watch the video through, jot a few notes down, no problem. What if some of you have a learning disability, or maybe you are not very good at listening and taking notes at the same time? Maybe you're more of a visual learner or whatever, and it takes you longer, and you pause the video and think about it and rewind the video and rewatch parts of it. That's fantastic. Try pausing and rewinding me during class. You can ask me again. You can ask me, hey, can you repeat that? Can you go over this again? I'll probably try my best, but this is a way you can really pace yourself. And as I said, some students may watch these videos through, and that's all they need. They're reading the textbook, they're understanding it, and they're working in class, and they'll be okay. But I want to get everyone to the point where they're comfortable with learning the information. That's why we're doing this. And I'm pretty dedicated to it, and hopefully this will help us. And I'm going to adjust it and tweak it as we can to try to help as many of you get as we can. I will have some of the videos that we're doing on the hard drive at school, so if you need to load those, I mean, I'm not going to do that all the time unless it's something that's needed, so we're going to play that by ear. Part of the survey here at the beginning is it's really a good way for you to tell me whether or not accessing this website and the video and YouTube is going to be an issue for you, because if it is an issue for you, then maybe we can work something out here, whether it's a DVD or CD or flash drive with the videos on it. Whatever we need to do. Most of the time that's usually a temporary thing. So maybe going to the library, maybe talking to a neighbor that's a friend who is in the class with you. Whatever it takes. You gotta work on this and get it done. So here is a quick video clip about how the flipped classroom works. So let's take a look at this. I'll put the video clip in here, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
This is a classroom. The teacher stands at the front, and the students watch and listen. You'll recognise this because it's probably how you were taught, and how your parents were taught before you. But there are a lot of problems with this approach to teaching. You see, not all students learn at the same speed, so some get left behind. And while some students learn better by listening, others may learn better by doing. This means that teachers can't always do the best job they can. But there is another way. The flipped classroom addresses these problems and makes learning more personal. First, the teacher makes a video that delivers the content they'd usually teach in class. Then they share it online with students who can watch it before the next lesson. This leaves the teacher free to spend class time leading activities that help students apply the knowledge. Students can rewind and re-watch a video as many times as they like and come back to class with questions for the teacher. So keeping up with the class is no longer an issue. Students can access the video at any time using mobile devices, giving them the ability to learn more independently. Instead of sitting and listening, students can spend class time applying knowledge in more practical ways. And teachers are free to spend their time working with students and giving them individual support and attention. The flipped classroom model is already making a difference to students and teachers worldwide, so get involved. Discover more at flippedinstitute.org.
Okay, so that's a good example of what the flipped classroom is, and good use of penguins and walruses as well. Hopefully you got what they were talking about. If you're still unsure about this, please do let me know. Let's talk about your textbook. This is Wheaton. The top book in the picture here is his book that we're going to use. I believe it's the 5th edition. Wayne Wheaton on the left-hand side there is a college professor at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. He is a pretty cool dude. He sent me all kinds of stuff when I emailed him and asked him for some help. I really appreciate that. At the bottom here it says Psychology Themes and Variations. Hey, same book. Oh, this is the 8th version. Well, the 9th version has come out. We're way, way behind. Our version is around 2001. So that gives you some idea here that I'm going to need to try to do what I can to bring some new information and new science and new findings to our psychology class. I'm going to do that as much as I can. This is all about application, applying what we learn to situations or real world situations, and then being able to use what you're learning. So I think reading the textbook is absolutely something you're going to need to do. Those people who try not to read it and get away with it, they're not going to be satisfied with their grade. And really, it brings it to life in a better way. Let's talk movie, video, book, extra credit. There are lots of psychology movies, and there are some movies that don't really have a whole lot of psychology in them, but it might be something similar to what we've studied. Maybe Dreams. Inception is one that some students have watched in the past. Maybe something about memory. This middle picture here is from the movie A Beautiful Mind. We'll watch the documentary later in the semester about John Nash, but this is the movie made about him and his life. And it's fantastic. It was the #1 movie that year, and it won the Oscar for Best Movie, Best Film. What do you have to do? Well, you go to the website, you fill out the form. If you have any question about whether the documentary or the movie that you want to do is approved, email me or talk to me in class and let's get it approved. Then you aren't wasting your time. If you refer back to your textbook with pages, chapters, definitions, you're explaining what the movie was about and did it match what we've learned in psychology, that's what I'm looking for. Not just a general review just over the movie, because I've probably seen the movie and could probably look that up myself, and you could probably copy that off the internet or from a friend. I want it to be a personal account of you taking what you watched in the movie and relating it back to the course and what we have studied. Write it up, use the form, and you should be good to go. This is due by the last Friday of a 9-week period, and usually that means that if it's finals, I want it the week before finals, because I want these grades to be in so we know what your percentage is, and so I can let you know if you're exempt or not for those kinds of things. It can be turned in at any time during the 9-week period. So you get off to a bad start, you got a 50 on the first test, bring it up to a 70. Experiments and labs. We're going to try to do a lot more of these this spring, because this year, this fall and spring, because it's an empirical and scientific pursuit. Psychology is. Let's do some science. It's not perfect all the time. I mean, we don't have a psychology lab set up, but there's definitely some things we can do to create a hypothesis, set up some testing situations, and then try to collect data and see if it works. It may not work at all. We may have gone wrong somewhere. I think that's great. You find that where you learn from the mistakes in an experiment, whether it's a psychology experiment or otherwise, That's where the real learning comes about. Oh, okay, now I know why we may not have got the right the right findings, or we didn't meet our hypothesis, and let's tweak it this time. Let's try it some other way. In the past, we've done some projects on that as well, where students can create a video on one of these experiments or labs, and I'll have a lot for you on that if that's something you'd like to do. Typically, students do it around the end of the semester. The website, which you should be kind of familiar with, I think, at this point, we'll use PSYCH 3 in class quite a lot, and the videos on there, there's absolutely no excuse for you not to understand the material. And if you do not understand, you need to ask me questions, because I'm going to give you everything I got to help you. Okay? Note-taking. You know how I feel about this. I probably made it pretty clear in class. Whatever it takes. If you need to make note cards, make note cards. Make flashing cards. Cards that flash. Flash your cards. Do whatever you need to do. If you need to go to Quizlet and create new definitions that flip, and you can put those on a cell phone and use Quizlet on the cell phone, I think that's a great idea. I'll tell you this. If you are struggling, I'm going to be looking for notes. If you've got an A and you're knocking it out of the park and you're doing well and you understand everything and you don't have a lot of notes, I'm not grading notes. But if you find yourself in trouble and you're failing and you're not doing well, I am looking for your notes. And I am looking to see, do you understand the video lecture that's on the website that we have set up in class today? If we're doing an experiment or doing a reading or doing a Socratic text, and it took some prior knowledge from these videos on the website for you to understand it and apply it in class, and you haven't watched them, we're going to have a problem. Because I don't know how this is going to work without that happening. Typically, there's a lot of play here. So I'm not going to say you need to watch this video this night and this video that night. I may suggest that, but I think you should be pretty good as long as you're keeping up or are close or lagging close behind. We'll play it by ear and see how it's going. We're going to do a lot of drawing of biological formations and some charts to try and help you. And these are the kind of things I want you to keep in a 3-ring binder so that when the end of the year comes and you're studying for the AP test, it's all right there. Or, here's another thing. What if you don't pass the AP test or get the score that the college wants you to have to get credit? Take this to college. I mean, you may not have to do a whole lot less if you're taking an intro to psych class. You may get a very good grade. Tell you, if you get a 5 on the AP test, I don't know what that is really at a college campus. I mean, it's definitely an A. I would be shocked if you didn't get an A. So yeah, we'll learn about some things in psychology, and you'll say, oh my goodness, I have that? Oh, I didn't know I had that. I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of spiders. Maybe worse. You may be thinking, well, I've got some severe psychological issues. If you come to me to talk to me about your psychological issues, of course, I'm going to listen and I'm there to help. But what does that also entail? What does that also mean? I am going to go to the counselor. I will have to call legal services if it's been a matter of abuse. This is just legally what I have to do because it's the law and because it's in the best interest of you. Now, does this mean anything is going to happen if you tell me something? It means there's going to be an investigation and the right authorities and people will be there to help. I am not a psychologist and I am not a counselor. So I am not equipped to diagnose you or to help you through these issues. I'm here to teach you about psychology and an introduction to psychology, which is pretty broad. We'll get into some specifics, but believe me, I'm nowhere near the expert you would need if you were struggling with one of these disorders. Do I have some of these disorders? Of course I do. Everybody has something. Fear and anxiety, or more, and I have some more. But, to me, you get through life and you find people around you to help you get through life. That's the important thing. All right. Each 9-week period will have approximately 2 assignments a week, somewhere around there. We'll only have 3 test scores each 9-week period, and then probably a few FRQ test scores, which means the essays that will be graded. So I'm going to count those as as a test grade. So that's why it says test and projects. Those are 70% of the 9-week grade. Quizzes, articles, classwork are 30%. Final exam, of course, 20%, like it always is in most classes. Of course, you have your exemptions. Let's look really quickly at the different units. And this is on your syllabus. And really, what is this? This is like an expansion of the syllabus, a video syllabus. So Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 14 are combined. And, you know, somebody mentioned this before. Maybe it's not 14. Maybe it's 12 or something. But I don't care about the chapters as much as I care about the topics. And we have multiple versions of textbooks floating around. And I'm trying to use the latest version. A student mentioned this earlier this week. Hey, can I use a different version of Wheaton's textbook? Yeah. Hey, if you want to use a different version of any textbook, that's fine. If you have a psychology textbook that's new, that's a decent book, bring it in. I want to look at it. We'll check it out. There's a lot of great ones, and I have a lot in the room. We're looking to teach you the basic concepts that would help you do well on the AP test. So why did I group these three together? History and approaches and research methods, almost everybody groups together right at the beginning. History and approaches is broad. It's going to be the whole course, and you're going to look at the evolution of psychology from beginning to present day. Research methods is complex. It's statistics, it's ethics. It looks at the American Psychological Association and how they can step in and monitor experiments, those types of things. Both 1 and 2 can be sometimes a little bit dry. And students are like, oh, I didn't think this is what I signed up for. I thought we were going to talk about psychology. That's where personality comes in. There's your Freud. There's your Neo-Freudians. There's your psychodynamic approach. And there's some interesting things in there. If it's not scientifically viable or verifiable, it may not be on the AP test quite a lot. But Freud's important. We're going to look at them. But if you look at the percentage there, 5 to 7% on the on personalities on the test. 8 to 10% is research methods. And real quickly again, if there's 100 questions and they say that history and methods is 2 to 4%, how many questions is that? Between 2 and 4. So 3, I don't know, is what you could expect. And biological basis of behavior is next. We also do a little brain unit project here, and we'll work on that in class and present those. Sensation and perception kind of ties in, I believe, with biological basis of behavior, because your senses are really pieces of your biology, whether it's your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your touch, or your ability to sense dead people. We have that too, I guess, the sixth sense. But perception involves being able to interpret all those sensory inputs, and then you're using your brain to determine what those mean. We'll study things like color blindness and look at how that happens. How does the visual field, how is it affected? Why is it color? Why is it not? The picture to the left there is an old woman, right? Some of you are like, what old woman? Or, oh, it's a young woman. If you look at this picture, you can obviously see the little bit of hair in the front of this woman's head. And then there's her eyeball right here, right? And then there's her nose. And we come down around here, there's her chin. Oh, here's her diamond necklace, right? Or pearl necklace or whatever. And there's her ear with a neat little weird shaped earring. Of course, this could be something else. There's a necklace here. That would be her dress, wouldn't it? And this is her hat on, a little bit crooked, but if you're looking at the old woman, you see her eye is here, right here. And there's her hair coming down across her face and her crooked smile. And her nose is right here. So perception and reality, we'll discuss that. There's some real fun things with that going on. States of consciousness is dreams, the sleep cycle, hypnosis, effect of drugs. And it's 2 to 4%. It's not a lot of the test, but is what some students find one of the more interesting parts of the course. So we'll balance that out some. Learning is next. We're talking Pavlov's dogs, the ability to condition somebody, reinforcing those conditions to get people to behave in certain ways. Punishment, reward, that's all in learning. It's a big part of the test, 7 to 9%. Cognition, 8 to 10%. What is cognition? It is the thinking process, basically. And then the next unit, Unit 4, will look at testing and individual differences, motivation, emotion, and stress, and developmental psychology. So looking at all three of the images down here, the first there, and I guess I should do there, is Stephen Wiltshire. He's known as the human camera. He has some mental drawbacks, I guess you'd say, or struggles with his ability to think clearly, kind of like I'm doing right now. But the man can really draw. And you put him up in a helicopter and you fly over a city, and he gets a good chance to look at that city once from a helicopter. He's going to come down and he can begin to draw it almost perfectly. And we'll see some of that in class. It's really kind of amazing. So the mental abilities of someone who is a savant, who is ultra talented, and all the way down to, what we refer to, and has been referred to and is referred to in the textbook as mental retardation. The other term for that that's more politically correct today would be cognitive difficulty or cognitive disease or problems. But person below there that looks like she's falling out of the sky is falling out of the sky. That's Roberto Mancino, and she's an Italian supermodel. Some people consider her one of the most beautiful women in the world. I would consider her probably second to somebody else. But she is also an amazing thrill seeker who jumps out of planes with a parachute, base jumps off bridges, and uses a sky suit to fly from the mountaintops. And then we have another thrill seeker at the bottom there. That's my son at the beach. And we'll look at his development from birth all the way through where he is today, which is, in elementary school. So that's one of my more fun units to do. I'll do videos on those, but we'll talk about those in class. The last unit is Unit 5, and we look at psychological disorder, treatment of psych disorders, and social psychology. Now, one of the reasons we're flipping the class is because if you can learn some of the basic raw information at home, some of the basic knowledge by watching these videos and using the website, I can insert psych disorders, treatment of those disorders, and social psychology into the course as we're going, and we wouldn't have to worry so much about covering each of these topics in class like we do. That'll bring psychology alive a little bit more for you. These are things like schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder, which is also known as multiple personalities. You have fear and anxieties. We'll look at a case study with Royce White, a Rockets first-round draft pick that had a terrible time and never even played a regular season game for the team. He has just been traded to the 76ers in the offseason. And social psychology, really interesting. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention here is that social psychology could be its own course. It's a semester-long course at most colleges and universities on its own, just social psychology. And it's chapter 16 here. Psych disorders and treatment of psych disorders, those are whole courses in upper-level psych. So, long story short, what I'm trying to say is we have a survey course. We have a lot to get through. And I find all of it real interesting, and I want to get deep into it. It's difficult to do when you have this, short amount of time in just a semester. So please let me know if you have any questions about the course and how that's going, either in class or shoot me an email. And next time, we're going to look some more at Unit 1 and get you moving down the road towards research methods. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to be awesome.